Today on Locked On Red Wings, hockey is back as Detroit kicks off their regular season against the Montreal Canadiens.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and available wherever you get your podcasts. Scotty, well, I already said it. Hockey's back. Today is the official start of the Detroit Red Wings regular season as they take on the Montreal Canadiens at home, Little Caesars Arena, to kick off their centennial season. That'll be at 7 o'clock on FanDuel Sports Network. And we do this every year. The first day is always exciting. Where we are 24 hours from now when we recap the game, a little bit different. Last year they got out on a sour note, got pumped by Pittsburgh, but hoping to start off on the right foot against the Montreal Canadiens. We will preview that game for the first half of this episode before finishing out the episode. Scotty talking about how the Red Wings are going to honor Alex Delvecchio throughout the remainder of the season, the entirety of this season. But before I get to that, got to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Scotty, it's kind of weird starting an episode doing it. We haven't done a game preview besides we didn't really even preview any preseason game. We kind of just were like, yeah, this game's happening, and we have no idea what we're going to see tomorrow when these games start because the roster was wild. But the roster now is set. And we do know for a fact that John Gibson is your opening night goaltender. That I don't think is a surprise to either of us, right?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, no, John Gibson, albeit he had a little bit of a rough finish to the preseason in that final game that the Red Wings did win over the Toronto Maple Leafs. This is a guy that the Red Wings brought in to be the at least 1A goaltender. They're going to want to see him put up like 45 to 50 games, I would imagine, with Cam Talbot backing up for the other ones. He's a guy who we've talked about at length. When he's healthy, is a very, very good goaltender. He only played, I think, 27, 29 games last year, put up very impressive numbers. He was out for a lot of that season last year, not through anything that he can control with an emergency appendectomy, but he's got several Vezina caliber seasons under his belt. You know, what are you hoping to see from Gibson in that? Just a steady goalie?
Yes. I mean, we've talked about it all summer. The bar is so low. No one is asking for the world here, man. The bar is just so unbelievably low for what would be acceptable or passable over the course of 82. And it's not something that you are going to realize, or that you are going to, I don't know what the word I'm thinking of is, but it's not something where, okay, even if he has a great first game, that everyone's just going to be like, oh, well, we're totally fine now. We're goalie's fixed. It's going to take the season maybe before people are fully confident. But yes, he's obviously the best goalie in the organization. He is, I think very obviously should be the opening night starter. And you're just hoping for the start of what can be a 45 to 55 game season of good goaltending, which the Wings have not received in quite some time.
Well, and so my follow-up question then, too, is we're talking about starting goaltender. Let's talk about projected lines, right? We've seen in practice a lot this week, pretty much the same lines every single time. It was Larkin, Emmett Finney, and Raymond, Casper, Cat, and Casper. We saw Kopp, Comfer, and MBN. Did I say something funny?
Say the second line again.
Cat, Casper, and Kane. What did I say?
There you go.
Did I
you didn't say Kane. You said you said one of their names twice instead of saying Kane. But we're good. We're chill.
It's because I'm trying to multitask, and I'm very bad at that.
I just heard you wrong, and I look really stupid right now. Either way, we're okay.
Either way, one of us looks stupid, but it's fine. Cat, Casper, and Kane. NBN Comfort and Kopp, Rasmussen, Soderblom, and Appleton on the fourth line. I really mean that the main conversation here is those first two lines. Let's start at the top then. I mean, Larkin line, where all eyes are on Emmett Finney. What can he provide as a seventh rounder that made the leap to the NHL after just, I think, a cumulative 16 AHL games, something in that vicinity?
Yeah.
What should we realistically be looking for in his first NHL game?
Man, I don't want to be too like vague, because I would love to be, hot take guy and be like, I need exactly this like point total or this to look in a box score, but like genuinely just to look like you belong on the NHL ice in a regular season NHL hockey game against a good Habs team, mind you. This is not like you're getting some cupcake to start off the year, okay? This is not Big Ten football scheduling, right? Like you're getting seriously, like you're getting a Habs team that was in the playoff mix, that has a really talented young core that you and I have been talking about on this show for years now, and they're finally here and ready to roll. Like this is, I mean, obviously original six, opening night, you're wearing the Centennial jerseys. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on, and there's going to be a packed house at LCA. It's going to be an awesome thing. But I think that is really, and again, it sounds so simple and it sounds kind of like a cop out, but that's really all I'm looking for. I don't need, that he needs to score a goal, or he needs, exactly a point, or he needs to do this. Like, excuse me, just go through the game and just at all times look like you belong. And I guess you can kind of just copy and paste that across all three rookies in this game.
Yeah, I mean, for Emmett Finney, I fully, what I want is to see him be able to keep up, and help drive play. Like you said, look like you belong. He did that all throughout the preseason. I don't think that's out of the realm 100%. Of the pot. But I agree with you. It'd be insane to be like, he needs to score a goal. I think if anyone's saying that, like, you got to, what are we doing here? Second line, I mean, it's Casper, and Kane. What is there to be said? They're one of the most consistent offensive producing lines on the Red Wings. So is there really much more to break down there? I'm not really sure. And because we're already at 7:30, let's go ahead and just skip past that, move on to the Kopp. And like, that's not me trying to be dismissive. We just know what they are. They're a really good line. The third line is interesting. Kopp, Comfer, and again, assuming these are the lines, it could be different, but they've been practicing this for over a week now. Kopp, Comfer, and MBN. The more I sit on this line, the more I think I like it, because you have three very, very good two-way forwards, two of which can play center, so you can go on or off, right shot, left shot, depending on where the face-off is. Kopp and Comfer aren't the fastest, they aren't the fleetest of foot, but they play a heavy style of game. All three of them aren't afraid to get into the corner. Both Kopp, Comfer, and MBN aren't afraid to go to the net. So I really think this is a line that, you talk about matchup lines, like this is a line that can grind down opponents in the offensive zone, just wear them down and wear them out. I think I really like this third line in theory. Obviously, you got to see how it turns out, but I like it in theory.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think the interesting conversation as the season goes along, and obviously we're going to focus just really on this game, but the big question long term with that line, I don't think is going to be a question of whether it works, because I expect it to, and I think that's like you said, a really solid third line, and I hope that they showcase that on opening night here. The question I have long-term is, over 82 games, is it more beneficial for either Kopp or Comfer to play 4C, or is it more beneficial for both of them to be on the third line? I think in a perfect world, it is more beneficial for both of them to be on the third line because of the depth that you now have on the NHL roster, which you really, I mean, you haven't had this deep of an NHL roster with the rookies on it in a very long time, in my opinion. So I think that'll be the question at some point this year, and I'm sure we'll see, line blender and whatnot as the season goes along and such. But to start off the season, I agree with you. I think that it has the potential, at least, to be kind of a sneaky, solid third line that can maybe produce and score a little bit. You're muted. Good job.
You're muted. Real quickly, let's go to the fourth line here, Scotty.
Okay.
The Rasmussen, Appleton, Soderblom line is projected to be the line. Obviously, JVR is still non-roster. Berggren will be the healthy scratcher. A little bit of an odd mix of player types and profiles. Soderblom being the 6'8" skill unicorn that he is, provides some skill. Rasmussen, another two-way center who's not afraid to get to the net front and deflect shots. Appleton, a more defensive-minded forward. So I'm not really sure how they'll gel, but in terms of like fourth line talent, it's a pretty talented fourth line compared to what we've had in years past. So, I mean, like last year, we've replaced Joe Veleno and Craig Smith with Appleton and Soderblom on the fourth line. So that's an upgrade in my eyes. So
100%.
and they'll get super limited minutes. So I think they'll go out there. They might get not necessarily in this first game, but across the season, get a couple of goals here and there and just not look like a complete train wreck, assuming, again, this all stays together, because lines in game 1 are not necessarily lines in game 2 or game 3 or game 82. Right. So there's I'm not so worried about the fourth line. It's a little bit of a mishmash, but the ceiling for those players is higher than the fourth liners we've had.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, that goes to the point I just had about depth. I mean, if this group can stay healthy for the most part, I really do think you're talking about one of the deeper Red Wings teams we have seen in the last legit decade of hockey here in Detroit.
Yes. Scotty, let's head to a quick break. When we return, we'll talk about the defensive pairs really quick, because there is still a little bit of a question mark there. So stay tuned to segment 2 of Locked On Red Wings. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You're going to love using FanDuel because it's going to give you so many ways to play. Build parlays, try player props, or even follow the live lines during the game. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Scotty, on Tuesday, man, what is going on? On Thursday, the Red Wings take on the Montreal Canadiens, and the projected defensive pairs going top to bottom, of course, are Seider and Sherratt. In terms of expectation, I mean, I expect them probably to get the hardest minutes and mostly defensive zone deployments, especially with a rookie like Axel Sandin-Pellikka making the roster. I do think that Seider and Sherratt will just continue to get difficult minutes. I expect Seider, in particular, to continue to play very well in that time, and I think that Sherratt he'll be serviceable. He'll play the minutes. He'll have his Sherratt giveth and taketh away moments, but Sherratt is still, at this moment, a top 4 defenseman on this team. I would say he's probably not your best option on the top pair, but it's probably the option that makes the most sense given the depth.
Yeah, you have to do it. Yeah. It's really as simple as that. You are really handcuffed at the present moment for top pair because it's just not a deep enough blue line to justify Edvinsson and Mo on the top pair. You'd have a super pair, and then you would just have kind of a mess down whenever anybody else is on the ice. So we've talked about that all summer. I don't need to rehash that and have that conversation for the 50th time. But yeah, Sherratt will be top pair because he has to be.
Yep. And I expect them to perform as a pair.
Are you okay?
To perform as a pair. Yeah, dude. It's just allergies been kicking my butt the last few days. I've been clearing my throat like crazy. There's also a lot of sawdust right now in the basement. So that's not helping either. But I expect them to be a very good pair overall, mostly because of Moritz Seider, but I expect them to do their work. Second pair is looking like it's going to be Edvinsson and Axel Sandin-Pellikka, which I think ASP playing on that second pair has more to do with pairing him with Edvinsson than it does with Axel Sandin-Pellikka being ready for second pair minutes. Putting him with Edvinsson is just like putting him with the best defenseman that you have on your roster, not named Moritz Seider. So Edvinsson will provide with him for a little bit of insulation, but also they'll probably get more sheltered deployments, giving ASP more looks in the offensive zone, giving Edvinsson also more looks to show off his offense. Again, Edvinsson led your defense in 5-on-5 points last season. So he is not without offense himself. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this pair works, even in a little bit more of a sheltered, what I assume would be a sheltered role with ASP out there and getting big minutes doing so. So I'm pumped up for that pair, man.
Me too. And that's one where if that pair can prove itself, then you start talking about the dynamic of the bottom four, right? And then you can start talking about, is it worth, mixing and matching with other players? And part of that is obviously, a large part of that is going to be Aljo as well, presumably down in the third pair. If he can be really solid and be kind of a guy that you can lean on without Edvinsson still, then that, again, whole depth conversation around the blue line changes for sure.
So then that brings us to the third pair, Scotty, and this is the one that has the most conversation because you have 4 options for the third pair right now. One of them is, of course, going to be Albert Johansson. He is a lock to play in the third pair, and honestly, Albert Johansson on the third pair raises the floor of that third pair so much. So while your second pair is going to be a little bit more sheltered, your second pair rather is going to be a little bit more sheltered because ASP's on it. Your third pair should be able to take on a little bit heavier of a workload because Albert Johansson is going to be on that pair. The question is who's going to be paired with him. All week at practice, it has seemed like Travis Hamonic is the most likely person to play with Albert Johansson, just because Hamonic, again, historically in his career, has been a pretty solid stay-at-home defenseman. Not so much these last few years, but in a third pair role, I would expect him to still be pretty reliable in that situation. I would hope he can be pretty reliable in that situation, which is good for Albert Johansson too, who's got a little bit of an offensive upside as well. All 3 of these pairs has like one kind of lockdown player on it. Moritz Seider, of course, Simon Edvinsson, and then Albert Johansson we think is going to really raise the floor. The question just becomes is what makes the third pair better? Because obviously we as Red Wings fans, we've kind of fallen in love with Jacob Bernard-Docker in the preseason. He's shown us a lot of offensive flashes. There's also Eric Gustafsson. I think the thing here to me, Scotty, and you can tell me if you think differently, is it's just style. I think they don't want to pair Albert Johansson with JBD or Eric Gustafsson simply because stylistically, Gustafsson and JBD are also offensive D-men.
Yeah, 100%. And I again, like that'll be kind of part of the mixing and matching as the season goes along. It'll be interesting to see who settles into where. I'm not. ASP is obviously a part of that as well, I guess is my point. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, just because we're talking about the guys that are remaining for opening night, over the course of 82, there's obviously always a chance that, ASP is going to get time down there on top of that and et cetera. So the bottom 4 really, is going to be an interesting game. 1 will be an interesting litmus test for that blue line depth that we have so graciously talked about for the last, 5 months.
A blue line depth that with ASP on the roster very suddenly looks a little bit better here, putting Johansson on the third pair. So
it's still.
I said a little bit better.
The forward group is legitimately the best we've seen in a decade in terms of depth. The blue line is I would still avoid saying that about the defense. But
I'm just happy that the third pair has a Johansson on it, so it's not just a turnstile every single day.
Oh,
I really want.
That's my favorite part of the blue line, honestly, is the fact that you may have a legit dude down there like that. That's depth.
So I hope that Jacob Bernard-Docker can at some point kind of prove himself and stick on the roster in an everyday role. I know Sens fans really liked him. I know Buffalo fans really liked him. We've liked him so far, but he just can't seem to stick into an everyday role. Yeah. But yeah, we'll have to see how that pans out. Scotty, when we come back, we will talk a little bit about what we expect from the game as a whole after having talked about all the lines. Stay tuned to segment 3 of Locked On Red Wings. All right, Scotty. So the Montreal Canadiens are coming into town on the second half of a back-to-back. They're playing in Toronto on Wednesday night. So it'll be over by the time people are listening to this. And the Red Wings are coming into this game as home favorites, minus 130, which I'm not surprised they're home favorites because, of course, they're at home and it's their home opener. Montreal's in the second half of a back-to-back. But it feels nice to be a favorite because many times over the last few seasons as the rebuild's gone on, they were underdogs in like every single game. But Montreal is no slouch. They bolstered their lineup, Scotty, this last offseason, trading for Noah Dobson, being bold in doing so. 2 first-round picks in the same draft to acquire him and then extend him. They then also acquired Zachary Bolduc from the from the St. Louis Blues, and then also got Joe Veleno. So a lot of Jeff Merrick tweeted out last week. I don't know if you saw this, but it's like, if Montreal Canadiens can unlock Joe Veleno, then they could have a serious threat on their hands. I'm like, oh my God, this is such bad like Canadiens propaganda, because like he's been on 3 or 4 different. And I love Joe Veleno and I root for him to succeed.
Well, you're also just setting him up for failure by saying stuff like that, man.
Right?
Then, like when he's inevitably a fourth liner there, fans are going to be disappointed. It's like that's what he is, and he can be good doing that. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
He was a okay 4th line player. He was drafted in 2018, so he's not some young kid anymore. He played with Chicago and then I think was claimed off waivers by Seattle before signing with Montreal. But anyways, I digress. I'm sorry. This has turned into Joe Veleno slander, and I apologize to Joe Veleno. Regardless, this is a team that we thought maybe would regress, right, Scotty? But then they bolstered their roster. What are you expecting from this game? What are you hoping to see from the Red Wings in this hockey game, besides a W, of course?
Dude, more than anything, I am so hyper fixated on the style of play from the preseason and if it translates to the regular season.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
I want to, more than anything else, more than any individual, production, more than any line or pair production, more than, anything we see out of Gibson. I want to see if that style that they played in the preseason, the aggressive, attack the puck handler, obviously the forecheck we talked about a ton. If that translates to the regular season, I will be thrilled. Win, lose, or draw. If that translates and they keep it, a close competitive game. If they do that and they look terrible, then like obviously then that's a different conversation. But seriously, that above everything else, I just want to see that same offensive and defensive mindset from the preseason translate over into regular season hockey. And if that happens, then I'm on the moon.
Especially with Montreal playing that second half of a back-to-back, they should have tired legs. You can capitalize and jump on all over them if you play that style and play it correctly to what Tom McClellan says. Got to come out with energy, but I think they will with the home opener for the centennial season with, of course, 3 rookies on the team. There's a lot of good vibes behind the Red Wings right now. A lot more good vibes behind the Red Wings than, honestly, we thought there would be going into this season. The 3 rookies, the centennial season, the Fedorov retirement, like all of a sudden, Red Wings fans are back behind this team. So capitalize on that. The other thing I'm looking forward to, Scotty, this is going to be such an obvious one, penalty kill.
Like fair.
Right, like give me 3 for 3 or like 3 for 4 on the night if you can. Just don't be egregious, don't be god-awful, kill penalties, assuming you take any. But I highly doubt they'll get away from this game without taking a single penalty. So those are the 2 real big things, right? Like, obviously, we're going to be watching all the rookies, MBN, Emmett Finney, Sonny Pellico. We're looking for steps forward from Casper and Edvinsson, but we're going to be watching that stuff all season long. Money line for this game, like I said, from FanDuel, Red Wings are the favorites at minus 130. The minus 1.5 for the Red Wings is at plus 186, and then the over-under is set to 6.5 with the minus 138. The favorite is under 6.5 goals in this hockey game. Scotty, do you have any final thoughts on the Red Wings game that they're going to be playing tonight?
I don't think so, man. I'm just pumped. I'm so excited. We got Game 5 for the Tigers on Friday. We got the Wings season starting up again on Thursday. We got the Pistons just started preseason games. We have the Lions playing. Like, this is peak Detroit ball right here, man. Like we're just ready to roll. And I am, again, and you just said it just there. I did not expect to be this optimistic about this season, given how disappointing and underwhelming the offseason was. I mean, really. And I don't want to put the weight of the world on 3 rookies' shoulders and say that they're the entire reason why, but I think based on that and the different stylistic approach that the team clearly had in the preseason, I think that there is a lot more to be optimistic than maybe we thought in, July and August. And that is really, leading into opening night, that's really all you can ask for. Now, once the puck drops, then, real analysis starts and it's just whatever happens, obviously. But, going into game 1, all you can really hope for is to be optimistic about how good the team's going to be this year. And I think I'm surprisingly there. Like I'm
right.
Very, very, and maybe that's a pie in the face comment, 3 months from now, but I'm pretty excited to just have hockey back.
How come there's an April in the D song, but there's not an October in the D song?
It's a great question, man.
All 4 teams play in October. I mean, assuming the Tigers make the playoffs, but they did this year.
Right, yeah, that one's a little.
But April in the D kind of assumes other teams make the playoffs.
Well, yes, but I think it's because the April in the D song was from Fox Sports Detroit, and they don't do Lions stuff, so like they don't care that the Lions play. It's 3 teams is 3 teams.
You're so smart. I'm so happy to have you as my co-host. You bring your brains. Yes, I am. Don't self-deprecate. I love you.
Dude, you literally, an Indeed ad the other day, literally said, can I use Indeed to hire a new co-host? That was 72 hours ago.
I didn't cut that out, did I? Or did I keep that? I don't even remember.
I don't know. It did happen.
The last thing on this docket that we got today, Scotty, is that the Red Wings announced today that they would be honoring Alex Delvecchio all throughout the season with a jersey patch on the shoulder of their traditional jerseys, the regular winged wheel, and a helmet sticker on the centennial. Alex Delvecchio, of course, one of the most famous Red Wings in Red Wings history, one of the best players to have ever played the game, an NHL top 100 player back when they did that in 2018. He won 3 Stanley Cups, 2 All-Stars, 3 Lady Bings, who passed away on July 1st earlier this summer. So it's just I feel like it's just the right thing to do, right? Like for a guy of his caliber, you just do that for him. We did it for Gordie Howe. We did it for Mr. I. We did it for Red Kelly. We did it for Ted Lindsay. So it's just, it makes sense. And it's the right way to pay homage to literally one of the Red Wing greats.
100%. And I can't imagine anyone is anti that. And I think, honestly, the fact that you get to throw that on the centennial is such an awesome, tip of the cap and way to honor him. I think that that's beyond cool. So, yeah, I completely agree.
He's celebrating the life of one of your best players to have ever played in this city and in the league. The same year you're celebrating the entire history of the league, of the team. So, yeah, it just is appropriate. Scotty, any final thoughts?
We ball, baby.
We do ball. We'll be back with a Game 1 recap right after the game ends tomorrow or tonight. Stay tuned for that. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.